Hey, this is Natalie Callback, and I'm here with my friend Danny Gregory, who I'm super excited to have. Hey, Danny, how are you?
Hello, good. I'm fine, thanks. Nice to see you.
Sorry?
I said, nice to see you.
Oh, thank you. Nice to see you too. So,
Well, this interview is going great so far.
yeah, I know it's gone amazing. It's going to be way better soon. Wait and see. So, Danny is actually, sometimes I call him Gregory, which I think will come up again. But
That's
Danny
okay, Kyle Bach. It's okay. Fine.
just rolls off your tongue so much.
I know. I know.
So, Danny is the co
Don't call me
founder.
Donnie either, though.
This is not going well. We haven't drunk yet.
I'm really busy. I have to go. I have a party I have to go to.
I know. It's you and you and you.
That's true.
So Danny is the co-founder of Sketchbook School, which, if you don't know Sketchbook School yet, check it out. It's a wonderful um, platform where you can take several workshops with sketchbook artists, illustrators, and if I dare to say so, some wonderful mixed media artists lately as well. And Danny and Kosha, which is always hard to say the name, Kosha, who are running the school, have done an amazing job. They post every day beautiful little prompts and videos about sketching and illustrating. And I think Danny also, they both do some live drawing classes, or if you say so, not classes, but like sessions every day, I think at noon. Is it Eastern Standard Time or?
Noon Eastern Standard Time, yes.
Yes.
On YouTube.
So on YouTube. So check it out if you haven't yet. He also released or published a couple of amazing books. I mean, a couple is understated. It's like, I don't know, 150,000 books
Yeah, exactly.
on creativity.
I'm actually writing a book while we're talking, so
Of
carry on.
course, of course, on creativity and art. And I want you to tell a little bit later about your latest book, which you released just a couple of weeks or months ago. So let's talk a little bit. Where are you now?
Right now, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, where it is beautiful and sunny and very nice. But
Yes.
normally I live in New York City, and I just fled New York by accident. But now I'm here.
Right. You weren't like, let's get out of here because of the lockdown. You didn't know by the time, but at that time that that would happen. And now, actually, I'm glad you are where you are. So.
Thank you. I'm glad too. I wish you were here as well. But no, we went away for kind of a longish weekend to California, and then while we were in California, suddenly everything changed, literally like in a day, and so we decided we had to make the move and stay here until we found out what was going to happen, and of course we still don't know what's going to happen, so we're still here.
So this is an interesting situation. I know you're a sketchbook artist, and of course that's maybe a little bit easier in terms of you travel a lot and you sketch a lot when you travel. So I assume when you went to California, you brought the supplies you always use with you. But what changed? What would a typical day of Danny Gregory look like when you were home and not supposed to stay in place versus a day right now where you're to be stay in place and also not at home?
Well, actually, I want to correct you because when I left my house, we were supposed to come here for a family vacation. So it was going to be us and then my brother and sister-in-law and my son and his girlfriend, and we were spending like 3 or 4 days. So I didn't really bring much with me. I brought my
Mm.
iPad, I brought my notebook and a fountain pen. I didn't even bring a proper sketchbook. So I had nothing. And we had a small carry-on bag. So, and I've been here now for 4 weeks, and that was all that I had. So, I draw on the iPad quite a lot, but I do, usually I would have watercolors with me. I would have colored pencils with me. I'd have a bunch of pens, and I just didn't because I just didn't think there would be any time to do anything like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, so then we ended up moving in with my sister-in-law, and I kind of scoured the house, and I found a few kind of broken colored pencils. I found a few highlight markers, some ballpoint pens, and that was kind of it for 4 weeks. And then I was complaining about it because I do this thing, as you mentioned, every day I do this thing on YouTube, and I was complaining about the fact that I'm drawing, but I really don't have anything to draw with. And a woman who is a student at sketchbook school and who I didn't personally know, but she wrote to me and she said, I live here in Phoenix. I have a lot of art supplies. Can I come over and drop some stuff for you?
Aww.
So she came and she brought me this big bag. She had gloves on. She had sanitized everything. She left it, like 10 yards from my door. But in it was everything, plus some art supplies I'd never used before. So I've actually been working with oil pastels, with
Aww.
chalk markers, colored pastel pencils. In addition, she had watercolor, India ink, dip pen. I mean, just whole art supply. So it was I call her my art supply fairy because she came in and saved my life. So, yeah. But in terms of how my life has changed, well, much of what I do is I manage, as you mentioned, I manage sketchbook school. And, we're always, usually what we would be doing now is we would be going and filming classes with artists. Obviously, we can't do that. So I've been working with artists to figure out, like, how can we collaborate and making something anyway. I've been writing a lot of things. I seem to be busy all day long, and I'm doing drawing every morning when I do this class. I mean, this show on YouTube. So that's my main drawing time, and then in the evening drawing a bit on the iPad. But I'm just getting used to the fact that I have these art supplies. It's only been like 3 days, so that life has changed for me in that way. But I would say, in general, I spend a lot of time talking to artists and working with them, and also doing stuff with our community. So all that's still possible. Fortunately, we're an online business and we always have been. So that has made it comparatively easier for us. But we've also released our first live workshops during this time. So we did 2 live workshops already while people were in quarantine. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to be doing another one. And that's been interesting because we've had to just make do with whatever we have, and so far, so good. We'll see.
Tell
I wouldn't want to always be like this. I wouldn't want to always work like this, but it's been okay.
Tell us a little bit, for those people that don't know sketchbook school and what live workshops mean. Tell a little bit about it, and also maybe what is the challenging part of it? Because it sounds like, well, you're in an online school, so why is that so tough?
Yeah, well, generally what we do is we have film crews, and we go to an artist studio, like we filmed with you. We came to your studio, we brought our crew, we spend time working together on the idea, we film it, then we spend time editing it, putting it together, marketing it, doing all those things. It's a lot goes into making a class. Workshops have been a bit different because a class is normally, it comes out over 4, 5, 6 weeks. And it has lots of different artists in it. So most of our classes have a different artist every week. So making one class is months of work. A workshop is a bit different because it's a live event that takes place at a particular time. It's like going to any regular workshop that you might go to, except you're in your house when you do it. So you go, okay, noon on Saturday, I'm going to be in my house for 2-3 hours. You tell your family to leave you alone. You lock the door. You sit with your computer, your art supplies, and the thing begins. We pre-record certain parts of it. So we fortunately had pre-recorded 2 of the workshops in advance. Now we're starting to work on actually getting artists to make their own in the place where they are, which is challenging. But, we feel like people in our community, and we have about 60,000 people now taking classes with us. So we have a large community of people. And they tell us, we really need this now. We need to make stuff. We need the community. We need the distraction. We need the perspective. And so we feel like, okay, we've got to keep going. Like we've got to keep making new stuff. We can't just disengage or go dark. This is in a lot of ways, this is the most important time in our history because we believe strongly that our goal is not to teach people art techniques.
Mm-hmm.
We do teach techniques, but that's not the goal. The goal is to empower you as a creative person and to allow you to become the artist that you're designed to be, that you need some help to achieve that, to find your style, to find your voice.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of what we do is about support. It's not just about showing you how to use watercolors. It's about really giving you encouragement, giving you counseling, giving you the support of the community. And, if you layer on top of that anxiety about the state of the world, people need all this stuff all the more. And we've always believed that art and creativity are how you deal with life's changes. And this is the time for us to get that message out to as many people as possible to say, look, creative people are used to dealing with change. Like that's our business. Our business is to create new and different things, to solve problems when they come up. And so this is when we all need this ability the most. And that's why we have to think creatively at Sketchbook School to figure out how to give that to you.
Does that help you helping them?
Oh yeah, yeah. Otherwise, I'd be lying on the couch watching Netflix all day. No, I mean, there's no question that this is our purpose. And I mean, I am less of an artist, quote unquote. I write books and I kind of give people advice, and I like to draw. But my job is not to make art to sell. My job is to make artists. And so that's my job, but it's also really the thing I love the most and the thing that matters to me the most. So that absolutely has allowed me to put my head down, not to deny what's going on, but to feel like my life has meaning. I think that's what we're all struggling with now. It's like what's going on? Like, what does this all amount to? And I've gone through a few things in my life where my life was appeared to be at an end, or like the meaning of my life had been destroyed for various personal reasons. And art is what brought me back from the brink. And so I'm glad to help other people understand that too and discover it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been doing this. I had 2 other interviews today and 1 before, and there will be more to come. And it's very interesting to see how different artists or creative people deal with this time. And I had a very interesting conversation today with a photographer. He doesn't like to be called photographer, but he is. And, he does street scenes. And right now he can't go out to do these wonderful street scene photos. But he was talking about how much that helps him to slow down and actually look at the work that he has done before and kind of like take it apart and look at what he wants to revisit. And it's like, it's very interesting how different we all respond to that. And that it also depends on if you're an art teacher and that's part of how you make a living, or is that you're a full-time painter and that's what you do, or if you're a cat that does very bad things in the background.
Your cat is drinking watercolor water.
I do hope he does not. So yeah, it's interesting to see how differently artists and creative people in this situation react to what's happening around them. And I love that you said that you think that your purpose is bringing people the possibility to be creative or to live their creativity and give them the tools and instruments, or tools are instruments, to do that. That's very interesting, and I love that thought. That's also part of what you do when you write your books. What's your latest book title?
How to Draw Without Talent.
I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you think you have no talent?
I don't really care. I mean, I don't think it matters. I think that if you have talent, then great. It's like, are your parents good looking? It's like it's not. It's like, I mean, if I don't really know what it means. Does it mean that it comes easy to you? I don't think so. I think people who quote unquote have talent also work really hard.
Yes. Yeah.
But I think you can. I think the talent or the lack of talent is a lot of times the reason why we don't do things that we kind of would love to do. But when we encounter an obstacle, we blame it on not having talent. And I think that's kind of lame and boring. So I don't really care about it. I think it's like, if you want to do this thing, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to be disappointed. And talent isn't the reason. It's because you have to keep doing this. You have to break through obstacles. You have to, you have to have the grit and resilience to face setbacks and to keep going. And if you want to make excuses, then whatever. I'm not that interested in that. So yeah.
Yeah, I
so
see that too.
Yeah. So that's. I think it has never helped me to think about it, because I think if I thought I had talent and I thought I was being driven by that, I think it might make me lazy. It might give me an excuse to just be like, well, I'll get through it because I'm gifted in this way. But being creative takes hard work. You have to keep thinking. You have to keep facing disappointments. You have to have huge numbers of failed experiments. You have to make huge amounts of crap, and occasionally you make something good. And then that doesn't mean that you can stop trying, because you look at Picasso and you say, here's a guy who was making art for 75, 80 years in total. And, there are supposedly in Switzerland, there's like bank vaults full of all this art that he didn't want anybody to see. Supposedly he died and left like 60 or 70,000 works of art. But when you think about Picasso, what do you think of? You think of 6 or 7 things, right? Demoiselle d'Avignon, or like the guy playing the guitar. There's a small number of things. So here's Picasso making huge amounts of stuff. Picasso, a genius, quote unquote, talented, I guess, must be. And yet, no, most of what he made, he didn't think was good enough.
Right.
But he kept making it.
Right.
So what can you learn from that? Or you take something like Van Gogh, didn't appear to have any talent.
Right.
But he worked his ass off, and he made a lot of stuff. And despite the fact that nobody liked it. So those are the things I think about that I think are important precedents, not some magical gift.
Okay, so that's all true. So when I want to buy your book, which I still will, it's on my list.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
seriously.
Sure. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure.
No.
Amazon Prime going to get it there for you in like 4 or 5 months.
No,
so, yeah,
I want it to be signed by you, of course, too.
That's
but
good excuse. Okay, yeah, fine.
But so if I buy it, I'm assuming you're not just telling me, this is what it is. Get over it. Paint. You're giving tools, I assume, and some.
No. That sounds really hard. No. I'm just saying, like, well, and actually, when you buy the book, How to Draw Without Talent, you open it and it says you can't. That's it.
Brilliant.
Thank you. That'll be $20.
Now, come on.
No. Of course, I explain why how to draw, the how to draw part of it, which is there are a few things you can learn about drawing. There are a few things. There are not very many things to learn, but what you really need to learn is how to keep doing it, and how to keep yourself interested enough to keep going. That's the big struggle, is how do I remain interested long enough to develop skills, so that's really what the book is about, is really how are you going to keep doing this, and then one day you'll go, oh, I can draw, and talent never entered into it. So yeah, there's a lot of examples, ideas, jokes, bad drawings, good drawings,
Bad
all
jokes.
kinds of bad jokes. Well, there's no bad jokes. They're all excellent.
What keeps?
That's my talent.
I'm kidding. What's your routine to keep yourself interested in sketching?
I'm not always interested in it, honestly. I mean, there are times where I stop doing it for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I've been drawing for 20 years, and there have been definitely, never a year that I didn't draw, but there have been months that I didn't draw. So I think to me, I often, when I lose my thread, I need to, sometimes it's like talking to somebody else who's doing it and remembering how much I liked it. But a lot of times it's like coming up with some sort of a project.
Mm-hmm.
So like I had a project where I drew a dog every day for like, I think it was 140 days. And each day was a different kind of dog in a different sort of style and approach. And I find social media was helpful in that way because I kind of got into this routine of doing it. So if I ever missed it, people would be like, "Ooh, what happened? What you gave up?" No. I just I had a brain tumor. I took a day off. But now I'm back, and here's another dog. So I think that pressure helped a bit. But a lot of times it's the thing that keeps me engaged is changing things up. So on the one hand, yes, having an exercise, like I had a habit for a while where I would draw my teacup with my tea in it every single morning in the same book with the same pen, the most boring thing you could possibly do. But that just was kind of like, it was like brushing my teeth. It was just sort of I did. But then I would also find a new medium or find a new artist or just always looking for inspiration and experimentation and new experiences to try new stuff out. I think that's always the essential thing. I never can understand artists who lock into a style, do one thing. Like, how do they manage to do it forever? Maybe they're talented, but I think it seems the most tedious thing ever. So, I always mix it up. And, in the end, I don't make a living through selling my art, so I don't have to be predictable. I just have to keep doing it. So.
Yeah, that sounds pretty much how I would approach my stuff too. And I also like the idea of sometimes to challenge yourself. It's all about accountability in a way, right? You do sometimes join a challenge, or you set up yourself for a challenge because that makes you feel accountable for showing up and doing your stuff. If you actually do it every day or not, that's a different question. And I talked to a friend, Jimmy Leslie, earlier today, and he does a sketch every day, and he said, well, it is actually not every day. Sometimes I just don't feel like it, or I don't have time. Sometimes I just keep on going, and I do. He does a lot of self portraits. He does, like, then I make maybe 10 of those, and but it averages out to probably about 365 sketches a year. So there you go. And
leap years.
Yeah.
This is a leap year. You better get to work.
Oh, true. A leap year. There you got me.
But I think also, one of the benefits of having like a project, like drawing dogs was for me. A lot of times, if you're kind of like, I don't really feel like drawing, one of the reasons is because you don't know what to do. But if you have a project, you go, well, so you're not just sitting there having like blank page fever where you go, oh, I don't even know where to start. Okay, I'm going to draw a dog. Let me just like look at some dogs. And then that kind of gets the ball rolling. And then you go, okay, it's a matter of which dog do I want to draw, and not whether or not I want to draw dogs. So I think having that, I have a lot of friends who have a lot of rules about how they work with sketchbooks. Like one of my friends who has the most rules, his rules are he always has to fill a page complete. He would never leave a page incomplete. He'll continue. He always has to do it. I was talking to him yesterday, and I said, so do you miss doing life drawing? Because he'd been doing a lot of life drawing recently. And he said, well, to tell you the truth, I had this one sketchbook that I was just doing life drawing in, and that's all I was doing in it. and I just finished it. So I was done with life drawing. I was like, really? Like, so he did the last page at the end of it. He's like, I'm done with it. I'm moving on to something else. So but he always knew, like, if I feel the urge at all to draw, I know I'll go to life drawing class. I'll fill a page perfectly. So having those rules, I think it just gets, it's like a thing that I learned from writing a long time ago was that if you're writing a long thing, don't, and it's going to take you multiple days to write it. So like I was writing a novel once, and it was like, don't resolve a situation and stop writing. Don't go, and then it's over. Always leave yourself a little bit unresolved. Don't end the chapter. Stop like a paragraph before the end of the chapter. So when you sit down to work, you know, okay, I just have to finish this chapter, and then I roll right into the next one. And I think it's true of any kind of creativity is, how do you start your engine on a cold morning? It helps to be parked at the top of a hill. That's what you want to do.
That is a wonderful tip. Thank you. I like that.
Yeah, go and write a novel now. No excuse. I should go write a novel now.
I think you could. You should.
It'd be about a guy stuck in quarantine, and
in the middle of a sunny day. I'm sure there will be novels about that particular time.
Nobody wants to read them, though.
No, that will be 20 years or 30 years later.
Right.
As with every oppressing or terrible, depressing time, there will be the phase where people are like, what quarantine? I don't even know what you're talking about. And then in 10 years, people will be, remember?
Yeah. I mean, supposedly Shakespeare wrote Macbeth and Othello while he was in quarantine when the plague, because the plague kept coming back, and the plague was rampant in London. So he was like, fine. He ordered in a bunch of quills to be delivered. He had a bunch of sides of venison, tankards of mead, and he wrote Othello and Macbeth.
See, you could go and dive right in there. Could be a big thing. Torturing students in like 200 years from now.
Something to look forward to. Yes.
That was super interesting. Thank you so much, Danny, for your time. Where can people find you and your wonderful things that you do?
Well, you can go to sketchbookschool.com. School, by the way, is spelled with a K. We haven't said it before, but school is spelled with a K, like Kalbach. And or you can go to dannygregory.com, or you can, I don't know. I was going to say you can go to a bookstore near you, but don't, because you can't.
Exactly. But you could still order it online.
If you have to.
If you have to. I mean, there are also local bookstores that fulfill orders and are very happy to fulfill an order and get that for you.
You can, but I would just take a course in sketchbook school instead. We actually have a course called How to Draw Without Talent. It's a course as well as the book. So take the course. You can do that without leaving the house or making some poor, unfortunate person deliver it to you with rubber gloves on. So
that's true. That's a good plug. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Natalie.
Guys, see you.
Be well and stay indoors, and don't let that cat destroy everything more in your studio. It's been terrifying watching all that's been going on behind you while I've been talking.